My apologies for not filming too much while I was installing the coilovers. It's essentially the same process as my other videos on installing the coilovers. There's really no difference. Again, I found no shortcuts in the back. You literally have to take it all apart. I tried every shortcut imaginable and nothing worked. The fronts though, if you take the ride height screws and drive them all the way up, they will slide down into the uppers in the front, and you'll be able to pull out the upper, if you will, the hub assembly, slide it in, push it up, and go in. There's no problem with that. That is a shortcut for the fronts. Again, the rears, no shortcuts. So with that, the spring lengths were different, and the preloads were already set, thank goodness, thank Jonathan at Shaftworks. However, the ride height was completely different, and I did say that I totally guessed, and I did. So luckily I had borrowed some scales from Werner, thank you Werner and Dave, to validate my initial ride height adjustments, and they were completely wrong. So where we started was with 25 in the front ride height from the bottom of the adjustment on the preload to the top of the ride height collar or nut, if you will. So again, I go over that in the other videos. So that was 25 up front and 80 in the rear. So I messed around with the rear because I was getting so much front bias under hard braking, and I wanted to get the back end squatted. I went kind of low, so I was actually really close in the rear. Where we ended up in the rear was 77 millimeters of ride height. However, in the front, to get the front weight shift forward, even with 180 pounds in the driver's seat to simulate driver's weight, yes, I had to go down to 9 millimeters, and I started at 25. So that was a significant and crazy drop. Now, I was measuring my ride height going through the whole process from the top of the fender well, center line to the floor, and the back stayed stable, thank goodness, and the fronts are a little cattywampus, so we'll see how they settle in when driving. So with that, and lowering the car, I wanted to install a bump steer kit. So it'd probably be a second video, a shorter one on the bump steer kit. I did go down to Frank and Katie's house. They just got a S718S, and I used theirs as a benchmark, if you will, a baseline for putting the small level on that tie rod end to see what it looked like with 20-inch wheels at factory ride height, and it really wasn't too far off of what I have. You can see I'm up on my stands, so all the weight is off the car and it's at ride height. So I'm going to take a measurement and I'm going to make an adjustment. So again, I'll go in that in the other video. So with that, y'all, here she sits, and gonna go to alignment, and I'll get some track video and see if these jokers are worth the cost. So with that, thank y'all. So I'm doing my level best, get it, level, to put a level across the tie rod end, and this is the turret that I bought, and this is sitting on the suspension. You can see we have the blocks on, the car is fully weighted on the suspension, and you can see the bubble all the way off to the left. Now I have some still shots from Frank and Katie's 718S, and it's really very, very, very similar. So, and this is with the adjustment that they told me over at Tarot with the small one. I'm thinking about flipping it over and doing the wider, if you will, spacer. Now, to show for reference, and my light source is failing me here. I'm sorry, y'all. So that, oh, there we go. That's a better representation. So let's get level. So that's level, as most cars would be. But again, with the Caymans, oddly, sitting on the wheels, they're both pretty high. So I do have some still shots from theirs on the ground. Pause, let you see them again, and then again going back to level. So with that, I'm gonna put the larger spacer closer to the steering knuckle on the hub assembly and see what that does for us. I apologize for working backwards through this process. I've already got the Cayman Bump Steer Kit installed. The smaller conical washer is up top. The larger of the two, the larger spacer washer, is on the bottom. So anyone who's ever installed a bump steer kit before understands you want to put the spacers between your steering input, i.e. in this point our spherical bearing. Put that so that when you put the weight on the car, that your bump steer arm is as level as possible. Well, I found that a stock Cayman baseline from Frank and Katie down the street, that is not the case. There is significant angle at factory ride height settings with factory equipment, 20-inch wheels, factory struts. So I was very surprised in that. With that being though, with this car being lowered as it is, even lower than the factory, I'm gonna go ahead and swap these again through backwards from input received from Tarot. They suggested starting with the smaller of the two, but I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and show you what it looks like with the larger washer on top, which will help put the input a little lower. So also Tarot recommended dropping the bolt in from the top versus going opposite direction. The factory has the nut on the top, but that's because the factory one is captive, so you're not taking that out. So what I did was basically guesstimated the distance from the lollipop, from the center line to the end of the input. I did not move the nut much at all. I kept it pretty well same, and so I just lengthened the lollipop to about the approximate size, or length if you will, of the original tie rod end. And that's what it looks like. It's really not difficult. Breaking the torque back here was the hardest part of the entire job. So with that, I'm gonna flip these over and see what it looks like. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like wrestling the octopus. This is the larger one that fell off, of course, with the nut, removing the nut right there. So as we remove this guy, I guess the conical washer that goes up in there will pop out. So that's your rod end bearing. And of course I guess it's more of a conical washer. Oh, there goes the wheel. That's the conical washer that goes up inside. The smaller one, we're just gonna swap those guys and stack them like that. And this is the part that goes down in the bearing. And oh, not the nut, but these two guys meet in the middle of that bearing. And of course we have our nut that dropped in from the top as recommended. So let's get this guy back up here. Insert that guy. There we go. Hold everything together and put our nut on. And it's just that easy. Now the larger washer is on the top, putting the angle just a little, putting the angle of the tie rod end a little flatter, but it's still going to be significant as we'll check our fitment. We'll get back under the car and check that level bubble. Over. Back under the car after the swap out. As you can see, we're back on the wheels and not much difference at all. I'll try to make this level here. Stand by. So that would be level. That's what level looks like. Did that larger washer or standoff off the knuckle make that big a difference? Discernible? I'm not certain, but I was getting pulled offline under super hard braking. So with the addition of these tie rod ends, this bump steer kit, and the stiffer spring rates, let's really hope that this cures my hard braking problem. I can get back on the brakes and brake properly into the corners. So again, level, just to torture you, and there they are aligned with the straight line. If I can get it back on there. the tie rod end. So we'll give it a try, get some track footage. Talk to y'all. 19 out.
Sorry. Oh, that was Eric. That was so cool. Awesome. He's in his Daytona. I don't know where he's going, but that was super cool. So anyway, I'm on my way to get the car line. I apologize for the audio. I did buy a little external mic, but the damn battery ran out. So this is my initial impressions on the full Track Dedicated Ohlins rodent track dual flow valve coilovers. My toe is crazy off. I'm not going to be able to get much over 50 miles an hour. But initial impressions, truly, it's not that much harsher than the rodent track 70 and 80 spring rates. I have 110 up front and 30 in the back, 130 in the back. So it's, I don't find it exceedingly harsh. Now granted, our roads are really good here, so very lucky for that. With that, hopefully after the alignment, everything's much straighter. I'll be able to get above 50 miles an hour with some level of confidence. So there really isn't any potholes or bumps I can actually hit, because we don't have any, and I need to hit defrost because it's a chilly morning. So with that, out for now, and I'll do another little video once I get her aligned.